Hi guys, Dennis here from Denny Bob's RC. Hey, I'm going to kind of go through one of my very early builds, early RC conversions of a Bruder Mack Granite. I've kind of brought them back up to the bench. I had them built as day cab semi, short frame day cab semi tractors. I have several Tamiya trucks now that I am going to use for towing the trailers. And I had some other trucks here with dump boxes on them. So I'm going to convert them over to dump trucks. They're not completed yet. I still have some other things, and I'll go through that when I... Let's just go ahead and I'll show you. Alright, this is one of my Bruder Mack Granite RC conversions. It is a Bruder frame yet. I have gone through this one. I started out with 3D printed axles on it, which were always breaking axle tubes. So I have beefed it up with aluminum tubes, and that center part is a 1/2 by 2-inch aluminum piece that I have a slotted hole in to help with suspension movement. And there's 470 RPM motors, gear motors, 2 in each hollow tube there, and they're held in with the Allen screws. But it doesn't have any suspension per se this way, but it does have quite a bit of axle flex this way for going over terrain. Now this front axle is not solid. It is a Tamiya clone front axle that I have taken and made some special brackets and some coil springs so that the axle will actually spring side to side. It doesn't have a whole lot of movement, but it's enough movement to go off-roading a little bit. Then I've mounted a steering servo under there, and this truck was built, I believe, back in 2019. I built 2 of them. This one and that one. They were a matched pair. I built them both at the same time. That one, you can see I've got the box on it. I don't have it final wiring. I don't have the ESC set up or anything, but I'll kind of go through that as well. But yeah, it's kind of a wiring nightmare underneath it here, but I've used all JST plugs. Originally, when I built it with the plastic tubes, I had everything hardwired clear up to and plugged into the ESC, which is underneath the cab. Now I've taken it so that I have, if I ever have a motor failure, I can pull the wheel off, pull the set screw out, pop the wires out, and feed them out through the hole that's in the top of the tubes. There's a hole there and a hole there. Those, I think I actually put a little dab of hot glue in them to keep them from pulling, but that doesn't take much to take off. The other one's done just a little bit differently, not exactly the same. They're twins, but not 100% exactly the same. But anyway, I put some rubber flaps on it instead of the old factory. You can see they're beat up pretty good. And his trucks are 5 years. The truck's 5 years old already, and the paint's got some scuffs and scrapes and scratches in it and whatnot. But you know what? I didn't build them to sit on a shelf as shelf queens either. Originally, I had some tall stacks on them that I mounted on the stock Bruder exhaust, but the problem with that is with this style box, they won't clear. I'd have to notch the box out. I wasn't going to do that. I just got some stock factory ones to put on it. That way it's back to kind of the original. Because originally these started out those boxes started out on these trucks here, and I took the stock exhaust back off and put them on them. I kept the other exhausts for, say I want to build another Mack cab someday for a day cab semi and use another Mack cab. I got a couple sets of these that I can use for those, because I probably will do another Tamiya chassis truck with the Bruder Mack Granite cabs on it sometime down the road. But getting into the dump box a little bit. Now, the unfortunate thing is, a lot of the stuff that I'm using nowadays, Servo City, the company that I dealt with, has discontinued their, what I want to call, Actobotics line. They have gone and switched to Go Builda line, which the original, what do you want to call it, I'm trying not to misspeak here, the Actobotic stuff was mostly American Standard threads. A lot of the stuff was 632 thread. The Go Builda is all metric, M4 metric. So I have some of the stuff that's Go Builda on here, and some stuff that is the Octobotics. I'm trying not to mispronounce it. But this is a 8mm lead screw. Now they do have these clamps in the 4mm on each end. I have to shorten them a little bit. This is a couple of pieces of angle iron that I have left over from my Tamiya trailers, because I don't use the factory angle iron that comes with it, and I custom build my own trailers to custom lengths. So I have all kinds of this stuff left over. Why not use what you have left in the bin? And I have a ball bearing on both sides there to help support the lead screw. This is like 3D printer M3 lead screw stuff, and then there's a brass insert, and this is a clamp on that clamps around that that nut that goes on the threads here. And I have a couple of Allen headed countersunks going from the inside so that I've got clearance. And these are all tapped and drilled from the sides. You kind of see that I have that fit perfectly in that factory notch. So the black part is stock Bruder that comes underneath it. But I didn't want to use the plastic or plastic pieces. I wanted a main metal frame. I figured that would be better than 3D printed or make it out of plastic. Be more durable, stronger. The unfortunate part is they don't sell these links anymore, because that was Actobotics. These little brackets here, that was Actobotics. They don't sell any of that anymore. So I've been using up stuff that I have, and pretty soon it's all going to be gone. Or I'll have to custom make them every time I want to make something, which is fine. I can do it. Not a big deal. It's just nice to use stuff that is already done, so you don't have to build more. Saves a little more time that way. But yeah, I've kind of got this so that it's kind of loosened up so that it will open. I may put a servo on there to, once it gets shut, have a servo come in and lock it in place. Or I'm going to weight it, or put some light magnets on it so that it stays shut. And then when the weight comes in, pushes it open. Haven't decided yet. The one thing that I do have to do here, this is through Servo City, through their premium line planetary gear drive motor. It is their smaller planetary gear drive. It's not spur gears in here, folks. It is a planetary setup. I have tried these spur gear setups in these, and if you have too heavy of a load, you will strip the gears out in them. I've had issues with them in the past, so I started going to these. These are not cheap. by no means. The little motors are probably $30. Now, yes, you can go buy the cheap Chinese ones off eBay or off AliExpress. I don't know as though they sell these good quality planetary gear motors. Yes, okay. You can buy the gear motor off AliExpress for $5 and buy 6 of them, because you're going to go through 6 of them by the time you figure out what's going wrong. Or you just buy one good motor and be done with it. That's the way I look at it. Now, this may not be the way some other people may do this. Hey, you know what? To each their own. Do it your way. I'm going to do it my way. Now, this back bracket here is also drilled and tapped from each side. And then I have a bolt that goes clear through into it and holds it in place. So this is pretty much all completely bolted together. When this bed gets snapped on top of the Bruder frame of the truck, I will probably end up drilling down through these 4 holes and run bolts and nuts through it to hold it onto the chassis. I still have the factory tabs on here to locate it, and it will snap in place. And it seems to stay, but yeah, just in case, I'll do a little extra insurance. Maybe at least put 2 in, just to hold it in place. Now, I've used an M3 fender washer. Originally, these just kind of slide over a peg on each side, but I drilled and tapped this out to an M3 and used an M3 fender washer to make sure that these don't pop off of there during use. Just kind of a little bit of a reinforcement, so to speak. But overall, this is an old build, folks. Like I said, this truck is at least 5 years old, as well as the other one. I built a pair of them at one time. And get underneath the hood here. And I have my receiver right here, my on-off switch, a spot for a battery, and my ESC is underneath the cab. And then I've got an auxiliary light switch hooked up to the lights on these. Just a second. Now I powered the truck up and the beacon automatically comes on. But my lights, I just have them hooked onto an auxiliary switch. So that it turns the headlights on and the taillights. No blinkers, no turn signal, no sound kit. Nothing fancy like that, just a simple on-off. And I have my all my clearance lights lit up. Both trucks are that way. They're set up identical. But otherwise, yeah, I'm pretty happy with it. And that must be, yep, that's how that's working. Now, these trucks are pretty quiet. You can barely hear the gear motors. Now, I've never had a problem with the gear motors in the axles. You know, I use the planetary drive motor here for the lift. But with 4 of these gear motors in here, I've never had any trouble with them as far as stripping out gears and whatnot. The only issue I've ever had is the shaft, the 4mm shaft goes in there behind here that goes into the gear set. I have, which is weird, I don't know why they don't beef it up, but there is a small shaft on the backside of that gear that sometimes can snap off. I've never had a trouble with it in the trucks, but I have had it trouble in some of my bigger equipment with bigger tires. And the only time that ever happens is, say you happen to drop it on the ground. You know, you don't ever throw anything or drop something on the ground, or if it happens to fall off a shelf or something, then I've had them break. But during use, not usually. So overall, that's the truck. I'm going to kind of show you the, I don't have a way to show you how the bed operates other than with a battery. And I'll bring the other truck up here and I'll kind of show you. Okay, we're just going to hook it up. I'll hook it direct to a battery. Just kind of demonstrate the lift. I have to get another ESC in here to power that and get it to work the way it's supposed to. But it does have a really nice dump angle. The only thing I need to do yet is I need to get limit switches on the end of stroke on the lift system. That's something I have to wire in here yet, and I have to get some micro switches and some diodes, and that way kind of like work like a two-way light switch. You know, when you run the power one way, it'll shut it off when you get down to the bottom of the stroke, because that's the problem with these gear motors or anything. If you deadhead them, if you're paying attention when when it's down, you don't have a problem with that. But that's not always the way it works. Yeah, the limit switches will stop the motor, and when you go to put it the other way, then it'll switch directions and let the box go up. And then when it gets all the way to the top of the stroke, then you'll have to flip it the other way to power it back down. So, and when you get it all wired properly with limit switches and diodes, that's how it's supposed to work. I've never worked with limit switches before, so this is going to kind of be a new situation for me, a new experience. I'm not really that comfortable with it, but I think there's enough videos out here, and I have enough friends in the RC world that have done it, and I think can walk me through it. It's the only thing you got to make sure is when you wire in your diodes, you have to wire a diode one way in one switch, wire it the other way in the other switch, otherwise it won't work properly. Diodes are to only let electricity flow one way. You know, you can put the hot on one side, the negative, the hot on one side, and it'll flow one direction. You put the hot on the other side, it'll flow the other direction. You just got to make sure you get them wired properly. Like I say, I've never worked with diodes myself yet. This will be my very first experience. Not diodes, limit switches. Got to make sure I don't misspeak and misinform. But that's what I'm going to try to do to get these to work properly. I have two of these setups. I'm debating on painting the boxes because I'm not a real fan of the yellow. Or maybe I'll leave them the way they are. I don't know yet. We'll see. Or maybe I'll paint one a certain color and paint another one a different color, just so I kind of can keep track of the two trucks. I already have a 1 on one truck and a 2 on the other. I have them bound to the same exact remote. I've got Model 1, Model 2. So yeah, Tweedledum and Tweedledoo. Tweedledee and Tweedledum, whatever. 1 and 2. But anyway, I just kind of bring you along for the ride on kind of what I'm working on right now anyway. I started working on this project, I think, Tuesday night. And I got that all pretty much figured out except for the limit switch stuff. So I went right ahead and built a second box right away, since all the measurements and everything were kind of fresh in my mind, and the hardware sizes and whatnot, so that I could... It's easier for me to build multiples at one time. If I'm going to do it all at the same time. Saves you time, saves you headaches and trying to measure and figure it all out. So anyway, you have to let me know what you think. I'm pretty excited, pretty happy with it. Part of me is like, why do I need a couple more dump trucks? Because I can, I guess. I don't know. It's something I enjoy doing, enjoy building, and kind of bring you guys along for the ride. So yes, I would love to do step-by-steps, but doing all that, I do all this stuff on my phone, folks. And I did finally break down and bought myself a laptop. probably 3 months ago. I've opened it, I've charged the battery and opened it once. It's kind of out of my comfort zone. I can do everything on my phone I'm comfortable with, but here coming up, I'm hoping to start doing a little more video editing and not get so long-winded for everybody. But anyway, not too many of you made it this far. So anyway, overall, I'm pretty happy with the progress so far. But like I say, you know, I'd love to bring you guys along for a step-by-step. I just don't have the time. I work a full-time job. I'm gone from home 10 and a half, 11 hours a day. And so when I get home at night and try to get in the house early enough so that I can turn around, get up, go to work tomorrow, you know. So you kind of, my time's limited. So I'm not a full-time YouTuber. This is a part-time gig for me. And not a real big money maker either. So I just kind of try and help people along. So anyway, hopefully some of this was kind of informative, and thanks for coming along for the ride. Catch you guys later.